Did you know that most sales are lost at the quote or proposal stage? You know, the stage at which you write and submit that quote or submit the proposal, then you never hear back from the buyer again? Actually, did you know a lot of the sales are lost before you can get to write that quote? In this video, I'm going to walk you through some very powerful discovery questions that you need to use when it comes to your sales conversations. And by using these in the right manner, you're going to ensure that you dramatically increase your ability to not only get to the proposal or quote stage, but to close those proposals. Hi, I'm Shawn Casemore, and I help you learn how to be a top performing sales professional so that you can earn more in less time. If that sounds good to you, make sure you click that subscribe button, as well as click the bell. You'll be notified each and every time I release a new video, which is typically every week. You just never know depending on where I'm traveling. And make sure you comment below, because what I want to do is build up your experiences. You're out there in the trenches today. What have you found works well? Make sure you comment down below. You know, we all have a series of discovery questions that we'd like to ask. Probably heard them early on in your career, and now just become comfortable. It's almost natural for you to ask these questions. And you know the ones I'm talking about, the very broad general questions, like how do you see our product or service fitting with your company? Or how do you think you can put our products to service to the best use? Or what do you think the best value would be based on, would you want to buy one or two of these? On and on and on the list goes. There's all sorts of discovery questions out there, but there's a big problem. They're too general, or to say it differently, they're not specific enough. You see, our buyers are looking for something that's relevant to them, not to us. So when we use general questions, hey, how do you think our product or service will help your company? They've heard it before. They've heard it from the last guy or girl that was at the door asking these very same questions. Now, this goes without saying that you need to know something about your buyer before you get into discovery questions, obviously. But my point is this: take what you learn about them and then be more specific and ask questions strategically. Now, I found that over the years of coaching sales teams and sales professionals that there are some key questions you always want to make sure you ask. Let's jump into the first one right now. Question number one: why did you agree to meet with me today? Or, why did you agree to take my call? That question, and I hear a lot of assertive sales professionals say, I never ask that. I go right into my sales pitch, right? I try and find the pain right away because I don't have a lot of time. That's okay, but here's my belief. If a buyer takes your call and they don't hang up immediately, or they take your meeting, there's something they're interested in, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have met with you. We need to figure that out immediately. So the best way to do that is to ask, hey, why did you agree to listen to my presentation today? Why did you agree to take this meeting? Of course, you may get a variety of answers, but typically they're going to fall into one of three categories. Well, you tell me, which means they've got something in mind, they're not ready to share it yet, which is a signal that there's not enough trust there. Number two, they'll tell you, which is great. Now you can cater your discussion and presentation to that point or those points they share. Or number three, they shrug. They have nothing more to say, at which point you say, well, let me get started and we'll come back to this question. So always start off trying to figure out, why are they investing their valuable time with you? The second question I want you to include once you're into the discussion, and again, this can happen during a presentation, this can happen earlier on in discovery. Oftentimes these are all mashed together, but I want you to ask this once you get rolling, and it's this question: how would you calculate a return on your investment with our product or our service? You can change these questions up obviously a little bit. So you might say something instead like, I'm just curious, when it comes to making an investment in our product or service, how would you determine the best return on your investment? But the point is this: what I'm trying to uncover early on in the discussion is A, what their budget might be if they actually share that, and B, how will they calculate a return? Here's the challenge I think for all of us in sales. When we sell the same product or service over and over and over again, it becomes a no-brainer to us. We don't even really have to think about the fact that you need our product or service. We've seen it a million times. The problem is this: the buyer doesn't know that. All they know is that here's somebody sitting across me or standing across from me, or maybe they're online and they're talking about their product or service. So we need to understand very quickly, A, is this something they have budget for? B, how would they calculate the return, right? Don't kid yourself. Regardless of what you're selling, there's got to be a return. Maybe it's very much a numbers-driven return on investment or ROI. On the flip side, though, maybe it's an emotional return. Maybe whatever you're selling is going to allow your buyer to sleep better at night. Whatever the case, ask the question because it will help you set up how you will continue forward in the conversation. And another point to mention, this isn't the second question you ask after the last one. We want to get started, we want to get rolling, and then we want to say, hey, I have a quick question for you if you don't mind. And then you lead into the return on investment question. All right, if you're enjoying these tips so far, make sure you comment below with whatever discovery questions you've used that you found have worked really well to uncover your buyer's needs and help move that meeting and the buyer journey along. Also, make sure you click the subscribe button so you can be notified each and every time I release a new video. And of course, you can click that little dinger and you'll be notified immediately every time a new video comes out. While wrapping up that first conversation, or sometimes you could use this even in the second conversation, maybe even in the third, right? Where it's still a little bit unclear collectively is where we're going, right? You've had the conversation, you've asked some questions, you've got some feedback, and you're thinking, okay, I think from a sales perspective, this is the next step. This is where I want to move them. But here's the real question. What are they thinking right now? Because here's where ghosting tends to happen. We think the next logical step is to move to X. It might be a second meeting, it might be a follow-up, it might be a quote. We follow through with that, and of course in the meeting go, oh yeah, that sounds good. Then we never hear from them again.
Can anyone hear me?
That's because we really didn't uncover where they're at. So I like to suggest to all my coaching clients and all the sales teams I work with, use this question. And it goes like this. Let me ask you a question before we wrap up here. What would be a logical next step from your perspective? Or you might say it like this. Based on everything you've heard today, what do you think is the next step that we should take? Notice a few things. Number one, I'm trying to flush out, obviously, where they're at, right? And if they have shared this already, I think, Shawn, the next step is A. Obviously, I don't need to ask that question, but more often than not, they don't. So we want to flush that out because now we're letting them drive the sale, okay? And it sets us up for the next discovery question that I want you to make sure you use as well. Okay, this last one here is based on where you are at this point in the conversation. So what you've done, you've set up, right, for them to tell you what they think the next step is. And at that point, it's going to be some sort of follow-up. Maybe they don't want to hear from you for 3 months. Maybe they don't want to hear from you in 3 minutes, whatever the case might be.
How about I make an appointment to come back? That way I know he'll be here.
That is a great idea.
Great.
Oh boy. He's really...
The key is this: before you leave that meeting, you not only get the next step, but you confirm the next step. This discovery question has some actions to go along with it. Say something like this. So now that we've agreed to meet next Tuesday at 10, just let me ask you, if you have your calendar up, does 10 work for you right now? And they say, yeah, it does. Say, great, I'm going to send you an invite right now from my computer. I just want to make sure it doesn't go to your spam filter. Can you let me know you got it? Just hit accept, right? Nobody's going to be suspecting anything. But what you've really done is you've cemented in their calendar that next meeting. Now, of course, if you're unsure when that next meeting is, maybe they said, well, call me in a couple weeks' time, then you say something like this. No problem at all. How about I'll check in with you on Friday, January whatever the date is, right? You pick the date. And they say, sure. And they say, okay, does 10 o'clock look okay for you? And they say, sure. You say, no problem. I'm going to send you just a quick little reminder right now for both our calendars. If you don't mind, just confirm you got it. Just hit accept, because I find a lot of times these things get lost and I want to make sure I follow up as you requested. So again, what you're doing, even if they give you a vague answer, is you're cementing the next step in their calendar. Now, can they go and delete this? Sure. Can they still avoid your question? Yes. But the chances are considerably less when you confirm it right in that meeting. So based on those different discovery questions, notice I didn't go into your product, your service, your value. There's all sorts of different discovery. And if you'd like a copy of my 30 discovery questions that you want to use in your next conversation, just make sure you click that link below and I'll be happy to send it along to you. Now, if you are in sales at all, you need to continue to work on building your influence. Watch this video next to learn how to be more influential in sales, and I will see you in the next video. Until the next time, let's get out there and go sell something. We'll talk to you soon.